All right, everybody, what's going on? Hey, got a couple questions for you. Actually, I don't even have any questions for you. Well, I have one. Okay, we're gonna talk about the game week. Um, Dallas versus Cleveland. Go dive into the schedule. I was requested to dive into the schedule to see how I came up with what I said in a previous episode. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about Dak or Shadur. We're gonna talk about it all next here on Cowboy Spit.
Here we go! Yeah, here we go! Wait, take
Cowboy Spit.
Throws back of the end zone. There's CeeDee Lamb.
What's up, everybody? Cowboy C3. Hey, I guess I could call myself late night Cowboy C3 tonight. I've been thinking about this episode for a while, and I was trying to get it together. Trying to make a couple improvements to the channel as well. Just trying to make things better, more appeasing for everybody to kind of check out. Well, it is game week. Off season is over with. Now it is week one. You start Thursday night. Even have a game on Friday night in Brazil. And then we go into Sunday, 3:30 here Central Time. Cowboys at the Cleveland Browns. I'm ready. I think a lot of people are ready. I know that as a fan, I'm 100% ready for football season. I've been sitting around all summer just bored, waiting on football season to catch on. The Olympics kind of kept everybody a little bit, excited during the summertime, but we were all just waiting on football season. Even when training camp started, everybody was super excited. Watched a lot of preseason football, got to see a lot of things. 53-man roster was set out for the Cowboys and, for every other team in the NFL as well. But Cowboys roster will go, the starting lineup will go as such. Quarterback will be Dak Prescott. Running back will be Ezekiel Elliott, with Rico Dowdle getting a lot of carries. A lot of talk how Rico Dowdle should be running back number one. I think they're going to put Zeke out, just to kind of pound for a little while and then bring in Rico. It's kind of a change of pace thing. It worked really well when Tony Pollard was here. Was that 2022? 2022. Yeah, 2023, Zeke was already gone. So that worked out. See if it can work out with Rico. You got Deuce sitting on the bench. I don't know how long that's going to last because of Dalvin Cook, the signing of Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook will be on the practice squad to begin with, kind of learn the playbook, and then he will come on the roster. Deuce is kind of the odd man out. And you can kind of say Zeke and Dalvin Cook are kind of the same back. Deuce would actually be your change of pace back. I'm not real sure how that's going to transpire. I'm hoping that Deuce gets some opportunities early in the season to kind of prove his worth, right? So maybe we can have it'll be a more difficult decision just to take him off the roster and put him on the practice squad and just wait for somebody to get hurt and bring him back up. Deuce played extremely well during the preseason. I think that he deserves an opportunity to play in regular season football games. We'll see how that happens, but he's got to take advantage of every opportunity that he gets, whether that be in the backfield, special teams, however he gets that opportunity. He needs to take full advantage of it. And, hopefully he does. CeeDee Lamb will be your wide receiver. Brandon Cooks and Jalen Tolbert will be your 2 and your 3. Jake Ferguson will be your tight end. Schoonmaker will play, of course, and then you have John Stevens Jr. coming in behind them. Hunter Lemke will be the fullback when necessary. Tyler Guyton will be the starting left tackle. Tyler Smith will be the left guard. Brock Hoffman will start at center, but I expect to see a lot of Cooper Beebe. He played exceptionally well during the preseason as well. He's a different type of guy. He's just he's he's a strong blocker. He's especially a run blocker. He is a tough, strong run blocker, and the Cowboys need that. Running game has been, I don't even necessarily know if you would call it decent in the last couple of years. It was good in 22. Last year, averaged just a little bit over 70 yards a game rushing, which is not terrible, right? But it's not great. This year, power rankings and running back rooms, the Cowboys are ranked 32nd. That's where they're ranked with the running backs that they have now. So it's going to take strong offensive line play, and Cooper Beebe definitely helps you out in that category. Not to say Brock Hoffman is bad. I'm just saying Cooper Beebe is a better blocker, I feel like, than Brock Hoffman. Zach Martin, of course, will be your right guard, and then your right tackle will be Terrence Steele, who quietly had an excellent training camp. Excellent training camp. I think he's over that ACL injury, and I think that he'll be the Terrence Steele that we saw back before he got hurt in 2022. Defensive wise, you have DeMarcus Lawrence at the left defensive end, left defensive tackle will be Mozzie Smith. I also expect to see Jordan Phillips play a lot. Mozzie got a lot to prove. He had a bad rookie year. His training camp at times was really good and at times was really bad. But the times that the training camp was bad for him, it seemed like it would be later on in practices, and it would be a conditioning thing. Where he was just tired. His technique was bad. 3-point stance where we get sloppy. He just kind of ride blocks. Hopefully that improves throughout the season, and hopefully Jordan Phillips and the signing of Linval Joseph, hopefully they can give him, just some pointers, some motivation. He should be motivated that they signed him in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? Because to me, I would take it as you signing my replacements. Not going to ride that first round draft pick stuff for too long. You got to get in there and you got to perform. Osea Digazoo will be your other defensive tackle, and of course it'll be a rotation. Linval Joseph, Jordan Phillips, Osea, and Mozzie Smith will be in a rotation, and hopefully Mozzie can hold down his part of the rotation. I think that he will. I think you'll see an improvement with him this year. He's just gotta stay focused, and if they get tired, if he does get tired, get winded, you always got somebody to bring in behind him, and hopefully the playing that way, that'll help him out. Weak side linebacker will be Damone Clark. Middle linebacker will be Eric Kendricks. Strong side linebacker will be Morris Lufau with Overshown behind him. Overshown will play a lot. He's good. He got a hip pointer thing that is kind of scary. Held him out some practices, held him out of preseason games. And then, of course, you got the stuff with the knee last year. I'm hoping he's not injury prone. I'm hoping he's not, but signs are kind of pointing that way. I think that he'll be ready week 1, and I think he's everywhere. Him and Lufau are everywhere. I mean, everywhere. They're back in coverage. They're chasing down running backs, doing whatever is asked of them. Winning attitude. Run to the ball, get man with ball, see man with ball, bring man with ball down to the ground, and do it over and over and over again. And the Cowboys haven't had a linebacker to do that in a long, long time. And now they have 2 of them with Eric Kendricks as well. And then you take Damone Clark out of the middle and move him out to the outside linebacker, which is his natural position. And you don't have to have a Marquise Bell, 190-pound strong safety trying to fill in at linebacker. So linebacker depth is a great thing this year, and I think it'll pan out. You also got Buddy Johnson in there too, and Buddy had a hell of a preseason. Your strong safety will be Donovan Wilson. I do expect to see Marquise Bell a lot too. Marquise Bell played well. Donovan Wilson at times in the past has been a liability in coverage. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Marquise Bell is pretty decent in coverage. He was decent in coverage from a linebacker standpoint. So if you scoot him back and let him get to see everything in front of him, I think he'll be a lot better. I think so. So I expect to see Marquise Bell play a lot. Malik Hook will be your free safety, and then your right cornerback will be Trayvon Diggs, and your left corner will be Kalen Carson. Bland will start out on injury reserve. He'll miss, first 4 to 6 weeks is what they said, with a stress fracture in his foot. Had a little procedure done to it to kind of accelerate healing processes. And I think that he should be back around week 4 or 5. Let's just say week 5. Call it in the middle. Once Bland gets back, if Carson is playing well, your nickel corner will be Jordan Lewis. If Carson is playing well and he can continue to rotate in, that would be tremendous, just a tremendous asset just to bolster the secondary and get things going back there. I think that defensively, we look pretty strong. Offensively, we'll see, particularly with the running game. Not terribly concerned about the quarterback. Am a little bit concerned about him because of the offensive line. You had the potential to have 2 rookies in at the same time. And Tyler Guyton in this first game is going to have his hands full. And we'll talk about that in just a second. As a matter of fact, that is a perfect segue into the schedule. I picked the Cowboys to go ceiling. Their ceiling is another 12-5 season. 11-6. 11-6. Depends on how you want to look at it. There's also some games in here that they could lose and they could go 8-9, 9-8. And that may be more realistic, right? Especially with this team. You had some injuries. You had Sam Williams get hurt early in the preseason. Torn ACL, he's out. Marshawn Nealon, second-round draft pick, will be playing a lot. He'll probably be relieving Parsons. Parsons drops back into the linebacker position, which, him and Mike Zimmer have both said that, yeah, he will be playing some off-ball linebacker this year. He'll be playing more than he has in the past. And enter Marshawn Nealon, who had a good preseason. Different type of defensive end. Cowboys kind of have speed rushers like that. Marshawn Nealon is more of a power guy. He can get around the corner, right? Got to work on his hand techniques, getting off blocks and things like that. But he is a very, very, very strong dude. And, he's put some tackles back, close to the quarterback. They didn't really get a lot of pressure on the quarterback in the preseason with the exception of that Raider game. And they dialed up some blitzes to get some pressure on him because, not Raider game, Charger game, because Easton Stick was just back there. He had all day and he was just kind of picking them apart. They dialed up some blitzes and got things taken care of with the pressure on the quarterback. Going into this Cleveland game, the biggest matchup to me in the game is going to be Myles Garrett versus Tyler Guyton. You talk about a welcome to the NFL moment, and you're going to have it all game long. All game long. You're also going to put a rookie corner against either Amari Cooper or Jerry Jeudy. Going to have his hands full, right? Quarterback play is going to be the issue for the Browns. Not for certain that Deshaun Watson will play. I think he's listed as questionable on the depth chart right now on the injury report for the Browns. He's coming off a shoulder injury where he may not have fully recovered yet. They will still be able to run the football, which in the past, especially the last 3 or 4 years, has been the Cowboys' Achilles heel. It has been. I still think they can pull it off. I think the offense will get right back into sync. I actually look for the Cowboys to attempt to run the ball and maybe have some success doing it. And Dak and CD will get back into a rhythm. I think Jake Ferguson will have a big game against the Browns defense. And I think the Cowboys can pull that off. So we start the season off 1-0. The Saints, I think they can beat the Saints. I just think that they can. Offense may struggle a little bit. Saints still have a decent running attack, and they've got some good young receivers. And it'll get the secondary, some it'll give the secondary some problems. But as long as we can dial up pressure, put pressure on Derek Carr, man, I think we can beat Derek Carr. Baltimore Ravens come into town for week 3. One thing that the Cowboys have struggled with in the past, man, I'm going to say past 8-9 years is mobile quarterbacks. Mobile quarterbacks have given the Cowboys fits. Now, I do like the fact that you have some young, fast linebackers that you can put in and kind of mirror Lamar Jackson. I don't think the Cowboys have had that in the last 8 or 9 years either. Jalen Smith, not really that type of linebacker. Plus, he was coming off a major knee injury where he had that drop foot thing going on. And then Leighton Vander Esch was around for a minute, but, another guy kind of injury prone, had to retire early, but not fast, not like these guys. I think that we'll do better against the Ravens. I just think the Ravens physically are too tough for the Cowboys. I do. I think they're too tough. I think that's a loss. Giants, that's a win. Pittsburgh is a tough matchup because Pittsburgh is a tough team. They play hard-nosed football. You're playing them in Pittsburgh. They got quarterback issues, though. Who knows whether it's going to be Russell Wilson or it's going to be Justin Fields? Don't know. Russ will get the nod at the beginning of the season, but Russ has a tendency to start off season slow, and I don't know how short his hook is. I would feel more comfortable with Russ in the game than I would with Justin Fields. Last time Justin Fields came in here, Cowboys beat him up pretty good, but Justin Fields gave them some issues. Mobile quarterback. Same thing I was saying. Mobile quarterback gives Cowboys issues. But I think they can win that game. Then comes the Detroit Lions. Man, that's tough. Last time Detroit came in here, you had an ineligible receiver catch a 2-point conversion. And then they got a chance to run it again. And I think Michael Parsons was offsides, got to run the play again. And we ended up stopping the 2-point conversion for the 3rd time and winning the game. They're going to come in here and they're going to look for some revenge for that game. They are going to be after it. 2-headed monster in Montgomery and Gibbs in the backfield. I just think that the Cowboys' run defense will be better. It wasn't bad in that game against them last year. It wasn't. They didn't run all over the Cowboys like they had been doing everybody else. And that's part of the reason why the Cowboys beat them. Offensive line last year against the Lions had some trouble. Lions were pretty weak against the run last year. They weren't fantastic, but they shut the Cowboys' run game down, which, to be honest with you, wasn't that hard last year. I got it as a toss-up, man. That's one of those games that can be a win or a loss. But I'm gonna say the Cowboys win. Let's just say they win that game. You get a bye week, and you get a chance to prepare for your arch nemesis, the San Francisco 49ers. Go back to San Francisco again. They beat you 2 times in a row in the playoffs, and then last year they absolutely annihilated you at home. I mean, tore us up bad, right? The Dallas Cowboys right now, it's not one particular player. It is the entire team, and that is the coaching staff included, and they just seem like they are intimidated by the San Francisco 49ers. You have to cross that hurdle. You do. You have to cross that water, cross that bridge, jump that hurdle, whatever the hell you want to call it. You have to do it. I just don't think they do it this year. I don't. I got that game as an L. Atlanta, another team that had all of these weapons last year, and just it's like having Ferraris with no doors on them. You couldn't drive them. You didn't have anybody to put the doors on them, right? And I don't know how good that analogy is, but That's the best I can come up with right now. They got a door mechanic now. Matter of fact, they got two of them. Kirk Cousins is not the best quarterback in the world, but he's not the worst. Kyle Pitts has yet to have a quarterback. Drake London last year was just running around the field wide open and couldn't even quarterback Desmond Ridder couldn't even get him the ball. Kirk Cousins will get him the football. He will. Kyle Pitts will get the football. Bijan Robinson will run the ball. This is going to be a tough game and a lot tougher than people may think it's going to be. And it's in Atlanta. I think Dallas can pull it off. I do. I just think the run defense will be better. And I think that the Cowboys, by stopping the run, that gives your defensive ends freedom to kind of pin their ears back and come against the pass rush. And Kirk Cousins is not good against pressure. We all know that. I don't think the Cowboys offense, particularly the passing game, will have very much trouble with Atlanta. I think that we'll be fine. We'll beat Atlanta. Come back home to play Philly. We got to get Philly at the house. Ain't no reason to even discuss that. We got to get Philly at the house. That's a win. It's got to be a win. Then you got Houston the next week. Good, young, tough football team with lots and lots of weapons. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They have a defensive head coach, and they absolutely get after the football. Best in Texas. This is the battle. I think Houston will be the best team in Texas that week. Not necessarily saying they're the best team in Texas, but I'm saying that week they will be the Battle of Texas. They'll win. I hope I'm wrong. I do, but Houston is tough. They are tough. Washington Commanders playing in Washington. You got to get all the get back you can every time you play Washington for Dan Quinn coming up with that bullshit ass defensive game plan against Green Bay. Period. Cowboys win. Giants at home. That's a win. Especially on Thanksgiving Day. Beat the Giants. You come back the next week and you don't have to play till Monday. So you get a long break, almost like another bye week to play Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. I have that down as a loss, but I can see how it can be a win. Not the same team in Cincinnati this year. Not the same team. Lost Joe Mixon, lost Tyler Boyd, I believe. You lost a key receiver, and you lost your workhorse. It's still Joe Burrow. I just think that coming off Thanksgiving Day, taking a break, I think they'll come out flat, and I think Cincinnati will beat them. Again, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I think Cincinnati will beat them. Go to Carolina, play the Panthers, who will be a little bit better, probably not much better. I think that'll be a win. Tampa Bay here in Dallas on a Sunday night, I think we beat them. Baker Mayfield is good, is really good, or really bad. He's never in between. Never. He is either awesome or just terrible. I think the Cowboys are too strong for him. I do. Diggs normally matches up with Mike Evans very well. He does. Cowboys just need to sustain offense. That's it. I think they can beat them. Philly, gotta be fair. Going to Philly, give them a loss. Now, right now, that's puts the Cowboys at 11-5. Right now. Now, if the division is settled, and I got a feeling Philly is having some internal issues that a lot of people are not really talking about right now. But I've just read some things online about Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts not really getting along too well. Still got Kellen Moore as your offensive coordinator. You ain't got a great running back in Saquon Barkley, who's had some injury issues especially in the recent past. Those injuries came because he was the only thing that they had in New York. The only thing. quarterback is not very good. Quarterback can't. It doesn't even matter how good your wide receivers are if your quarterback can't get them the ball. Part of that reason the quarterback's play was so bad is because the offensive line wasn't that great. So Saquon was having to do everything, and he doesn't have to do that in Philly. Now, my question is Kellen Moore even going to give him the ball? Kellen Moore always starts the season off in the beginning running the ball. He does that. We knew that here in Dallas. He did it in San Diego. They're not the San Diego Chargers anymore. In LA last year. He chased Austin Eckler off the team. Austin will be in Washington. I just don't think – I think there are some issues, some internal issues going on with that team that will keep them right at that 9-8 level. But they could turn around. They have a roster that could go 15-2. They do. They have a great roster. But if that last game of the season is at Commanders, will come here, and it's kind of one of those things like where the division is already settled. Cowboys rest some players. I think Washington will get the win, right? And that'll put the record at 11-6. Now, there are a couple of games in there, right, where – and anybody that has listened to anything that I've said here in these last 9 episodes, as games start to mean more, games start to turn from checkers to chess. I'm just not convinced that Mike McCarthy was ever a good chess player. I think he's a great checkers player. I think when things are going his way, I think that he's a very good coach. But when things get sticky and you need to make decisions and and all you got to do, we can talk about, games in the past, but let's just talk about these last few playoff games. Let's talk about San Francisco the first year, the year Dak took off running and slid, right? To end the game. NFL record 17 penalties in a playoff game. That's undisciplined football. That is a direct reflection of leadership, coaching. That's what it is a reflection of. You can put it on Dak sliding, with 5 seconds left and not getting the ball to the referee. But there was a lot of things in that game. I mean, you had defensive holding on a defensive end twice. Randy Gregory got 2 defensive holding penalties in that game on run plays. How in the hell do you get defensive holding on run plays? That is hard to do. He did it twice in one game on critical third downs too. One was on a critical third down. The next year, you go into San Francisco. The offense really had no issue running. Had no issue moving the ball at the beginning of the game, especially in the first quarter. No issue whatsoever. Tony Pollard broke his leg. After Tony Pollard broke his leg, the Cowboy offense went completely flat, which tells me that the game plan was centered around Tony Pollard. And as soon as Tony Pollard got hurt, you had no plan B. That's a bad game plan. You had Malik Davis sitting on the bench who 2 weeks ago, I think he rushed for 2 weeks before that against Tennessee. He had rushed for 117, 120 yards, something like that. He played 2 plays. He missed the block on 1 play, right? But he's getting acclimated to the game. He's going to miss, you have to let him get acclimated, get him adjusted to the game. Wasn't really planning on playing a tremendous amount. Obviously, the game plans with Tony Pollard, but Malik Davis is a similar back to what Tony Pollard is. He's not the same. He's not Zeke. Zeke is nowhere near similar to what Tony Pollard is. He doesn't give you that same dynamic ability that Tony Pollard gave you. But you chose to stick with Zeke the entire game. Run game was obsolete, which let them go into umbrella coverage the entire game and just kind of just give Dak tight windows to throw through. And It didn't work. It didn't work. Once San Francisco saw that the Cowboys were not going to adjust to Tony Pollard going out, and they were just going to try to run Zeke for 1.5 yards a carry, and then try to let Dak just throw the ball 60 times. They had him. They knew they had him beat. Coaching. Got to have good game plans. Got to have defensive game plans. Got to make adjustments. That is, I think the key to it is making adjustments. What are you going to do when you get hit in the mouth? What are you going to do to adjust to it? Are you just going to allow your team to lay down, or are you going to light a fire under their ass and get them back right? And the Cowboys haven't had anything remotely close to that in 30 years. 30 years. There are a lot of these games on their schedule that could turn into chess matches. Starting with week 1. Week 1 could absolutely turn into a chess match. Cowboys don't do a good job winning chess matches. That's why this schedule 12-5, 11-6 could drop down to 9-8, 8-9. That's how it could do it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's the same. You got a new defensive coordinator. That's what you got this year. Zimmer brings in some old school toughness. I think the defense will do a lot of carrying this year. I do. Offense will be what it is. Dak is going to throw for a whole lot of yards. CeeDee Lamb is going to catch a whole lot of touchdowns. But it all depends on how this offensive line looks and if we can run the damn ball. You got to run the damn ball and play good defense. You have to. I think the defensive part will be taken care of. You have an absolute weapon in Brandon Aubrey. You see now, if you get to the 50-yard line, that's 80% of the time, that's 3 points. It is. That is a plus. You got all these things that are lining up for you. The only thing that I think with this organization right now that doesn't line up to make this schedule a lock at 12-5 this year is you playing a lot of first place teams and you playing a lot of coaches that are chess masters. And the Cowboys don't have one. So, another perfect segue into my next topic. Dak Prescott, there's a lot of rumbling. And I've read it more than once today on various little social media platforms about if Dak doesn't get a deal done this week, that there is a distinct possibility that he may walk. A lot of people have various opinions about the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. He hasn't been very good in the playoffs. He hasn't been. He's been an excellent regular season quarterback. Excellent. MVP runner-up last year. Gotten into some playoff games and had some difficulties. I think that's a part of playing the best teams in your conference, though. You're not going to throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns against teams like that. This is a team sport. This is 100% a team sport. That's what it is. Your quarterback is the leader of your team, without a doubt. The quarterback takes a lot of blame for things that happens with the team, without a doubt. But I can point to you a lot of different things with this team that leads to bad quarterback play. Last year against Green Bay, we couldn't do anything defensively. You watch Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl play not his best game for 3 3/4 of a football game, but his defense held him in the game. Lamar Jackson is not the best passer in the NFL. He's not. He is dynamic running the ball. That is his elite attribute, right? But they seem to make it to well, they made it to AFC Championship game last year, right? Joe Burrow, Super Bowl, been hurt lately, but Joe has elite attributes. I think that there is one elite quarterback in the NFL. One. Used to be two, but the other one is old. Aaron Rodgers is old. He's old. Last year he lasted a series, maybe one play in the entire season, torn Achilles. We'll see what he does this year. Patrick Mahomes is the only Super Bowl winning quarterback other than Aaron Rodgers, who we just got to talk about. Is the only Super Bowl winning quarterback in the NFL right now. Everybody else has had the same issues that Dak Prescott has had. Josh Allen is a turnover machine, right? I do not understand where this Justin Herbert stuff comes from. I don't. Justin Herbert is a big, strong kid with a strong arm that hasn't done anything. And the only playoff game that he was in, he blew a 20. Well, he didn't blow it. His team blew a 21-point lead and lost to Jacksonville. There are some good quarterbacks in the NFL. There's one great one, and there's a bunch of good ones, right? And the Cowboys are lucky to have one of those good ones. There's been a lot of talk, and I've heard it on several social media platforms as well as on ESPN from Stephen A. Smith. Even Fox Sports had a little something on it, maybe last week. Shedeur Sanders. Now, let me give a full disclosure. I am a Shedeur Sanders fan. I think he is a good college quarterback. I also think that he is a good college quarterback that has won a total of 5 games in 2 years at Colorado. Kind of the same situation as the Cowboys. They have issues running the ball. He drops back and throws the ball. He will throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns against North Dakota State, right? But you watch him play Oregon. You watch him play Washington State. You watch him play USC. He had a pretty good game against USC, but he was just outdueled by Caleb Williams last year. Watch him play Utah. Watch him play Arizona. Largely ineffective. So my question to anybody would be, would you want to start over at quarterback? You're only going to have Dak, even if he signs this contract, this will probably be his last contract. That'll put him up to he'll be 36, 37 if he signs a 4-year deal. I think he's 32 now. He'll be over 35 once he signs this next contract. Now would be a good time to maybe groom another quarterback, and maybe that's what they're doing with Trey Lance. I just don't think Trey Lance is the answer. I don't think he's the answer. And I don't think Shedeur or Dion is interested in Shedeur coming to a team and sitting behind a quarterback, right? And for 2, maybe 3 years before he gets an opportunity to play. I think that they are interested. That camp is interested in him going into a situation where he will play right away. Now, how do you even get Shedeur? Shedeur will probably be a top 5 pick in the draft. Beck from Georgia is widely considered to be the best quarterback in college this year. Carson Beck. Cam Ward in Miami is tough. That dude is tough. He is a good little quarterback in Miami. He is good. He was good at Washington State last year. think a lot of people didn't really get the opportunity to see him, but Miami is one of those teams that is on national TV all the time, and you will get an opportunity to see him this year. He is good. He is very good. And then you have Shador. And I mean, you have Quinn Ewers at Texas as well. You've got some good quarterbacks. You still have teams in the NFL that are going to need quarterbacks in the future. Who knows how this Pittsburgh thing is going to work out? Washington has, they just got a rookie quarterback, and they'll I'm hoping that it works out for him. I think that he is going to be a very good quarterback. Tua is one concussion away from not being in the NFL anymore. Who knows how this Baker Mayfield situation is going to work out. Over in LA with the Rams, Matthew Stafford's getting kind of old, and he's getting older, and Stetson Bennett behind him, he's almost like Trey Lance. He can be erratic. I think he threw 5 picks in the preseason game when they played us as well, when the Rams played the Cowboys in the preseason game. Aaron Rodgers is getting old. There's a lot of teams up and down the NFL that are looking for quarterbacks. The Cowboys at worst will draft maybe 14th, 15th, somewhere in the middle of the pack, right? I don't even think Shador Sanders will be around around that time in the draft. But again, Dak is asking. The reports are that Dak is asking for a lot of money. We haven't heard anything about Dak asking for $60 million from Dak himself. But market suggests that he will be a very, very, it will be a very lucrative contract, the next contract that he gets, just going by his body of work for the last few years. Can the Cowboys afford that? You also need to sign Micah Parsons as well. You just signed CD for right about $34 million a year. You got to sign Micah Parsons. Just 3 big contracts that can take up a lot of space in your salary cap. You've got some salary cap relief coming next year, right? You do, and you have a lot of salary cap space coming up in 2025. A lot of salary cap space. Ultimately, you can afford to sign Dak. Jerry is the self-proclaimed best general manager in the NFL, and I have a feeling that he will get this done. Will he get it done within this week? Probably not. But the deal will be done. And I think Dak will be here next year. If not, it will be a starting over period. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of players that, there's a lot of fans that won't be happy about it. I mean, you got a $34 million receiver sitting out sitting out as your wide receiver number 1. Do you really want to bring somebody in that's going to struggle to get him the football? They did not pay CeeDee Lamb $34 million a year to catch 55, 60 passes because of ineffective quarterback play. That's not what they did at all. They signed him to catch 100+ balls and 8-10 touchdowns. That's what they signed him $34 million to do. To have repetitive years just like the year he had last year. And the best quarterback to give him that opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys is Dak Prescott. That's my hot take on it. If you don't agree with me, please feel free to comment. Let me know how you feel. And let me know. A little bit about the show. So we're just getting this thing kind of kicked off. Something that I've been planning on doing for, like I said in the first episode, for a couple of years. I'm a Navy guy. I was in the military for a little short stint of about 22 years, and I wasn't in a place where I was stable enough to do it. I retired from the military, got in a place where I'm stable, and I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I've been a fan. My very first picture as a child was me laying with an orange Nerf football laying on the Cowboy rug. I love this team. I follow this team. I wanted to get this thing off the ground. Got it off the ground. Now I'm looking to make improvements. This thing will get better. You'll see small changes here in within the next week, and you'll gradually get to see changes to where I get it exactly where I want it to be. This is a work in progress. You guys just stick with me. But I will give you good information. I will do that. And I will give you my honest opinions about a lot of things about the Cowboys, good or bad, however you want to look at it. I'm going to give you honest assessments about these Cowboys. That's what I've done for my whole life, and I will continue to do so. And I'll tell everybody about it. This week, we'll do probably one more live here, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I am going on a little vacation on Friday, and I'll be back Sunday, but I will be back before game time. We will do our first regular season post game review, just like post game analysis of the game, post game review, whatever you guys want to call it. But we'll be here right after the game, and we'll be talking about a Cowboy victory. I'm pretty sure about that. All right, fellas, ladies, everybody. This has been a great episode. Hope you guys liked it. If you do like it, subscribe to it, man. Rock with me. We're going to get this thing rolling. All right. This Cowboy C3, man. I'll see y'all later. Peace.